I want to know, because everyone got into what they do because they saw a movie at some point, and it was probably a Hong Kong Kung Fu movie. So can people talk about the first Hong Kong Kung Fu movie they saw that really made an impression on them, or the first one, period? Rick?
Yes, I had just come from the set of the 1977 Superman, and I was pissed that Ned Beatty was playing a campy character. I said, when are they going to take superheroes seriously? And Larry Hama, artist and writer for Marvel Comics, I was in his office. He said, follow me. And he took me down that day to Chinatown here in New York, where they had 6 different movie theaters showing 2 different Hong Kong cinemas every week, different ones, 12 a week. And he showed me Drunken Monkey in a Tiger's Eye. And it was a comic book come to life, and my eyes bulged out. And I went right to my publisher literally the next day and said, I want to do a movie on these, I don't want to do a book on these movies. And they said, here's $450, go to work. And then I went to, then they sent me to Hong Kong and I met Jackie Chan.
For me, it was Jackie Chan's Drunken Master, the first one. Yeah. And many years later, I bumped into him at the Regent Hotel in Chusaje in Hong Kong. And a few years after that, I was co-starring with him in Operation Condor. So, yeah.
Getting his head broken.
Thank you.
I wasn't a big...
Here you go. Oh. Donald Wilson, Dragon.
So I'm the first one you're going to be able to hear loud. I wasn't a big fan of Kung Fu movies anywhere. I really wasn't a movie watcher. I was a kickboxer. But the first Chinese movie I saw was called ABC in New York City, Chinatown. And that means American-born Chinese in New York City, Chinatown. And the only reason I watched that one is I was in it. They asked me, it was shot in New York City, and they asked me, I was a fighter in Hong Kong. I'd fought 6 times in Hong Kong. And they asked me if I played the bad guy, so I played the bad guy. And the thing that stands out in my mind, if you want to know what I remember about it, is what a horrible actor I was. That's what I remember most about that movie.
Well, by the time I saw my first Kung Fu movie, I had been in martial arts for over 20 years. So my teacher, Peter Urban, took me down to Chinatown, and we started watching these Chinese movies. And there was a film called The Golden Swallow, which was quite an amazing film with a female star. And that's what got me into wanting to be a Kung Fu movie star.
Yeah, it's working. It's working.
Yeah, my first movie I saw was on right over here on 42nd Street. Came with my older brother and cousins. It was called 5 Fingers of Death. And I was too young to see that damn movie. It freaked me out. I had nightmares because they were snatching eyeballs out. But I got over it, especially because they had triple features, and I was made to. I was the youngest, so I had to watch that movie like 2 more times before we left. But that was my baptism into it. But it didn't freak me out enough to stay away.
Tomisi Buro Wakayama.
Yay.
Who knows who that is?
I do.
Sword of Vengeance, the baby car series. I used to go down to the Toho Theater in Los Angeles because those movies were rated X for violence in the 70s, and see every one of them. They'd cut up an arm and blood would shoot in slow motion 30 feet. Loved it. That's what got me started, that's what got me interested, and a decade later I got to do Bloodsport and kickboxing.
Dragon Inn, but the original.
I was from Pennsylvania, and I used to come and study Ying Jiao Pai here in the city on Sundays, and my teacher, Master Shum, would take us to Chinatown, and the first movie I saw was Snake in the Eagle's Shadow by Jackie Chan, and I used to go home and practice in all those snake movements.
For me, I grew up here in New York City, 42nd Street at that time. Tons of Kung Fu movies. My first film was 5 Fingers of Death, like Big Brother.
Now I've got 2 mics, all right, from no mics to 2. I want to ask really quickly, Ron and Cynthia, actually, because both of you guys went to Hong Kong to make movies relatively early in your careers, right?
Yes.
And so what was it like to just show up in Hong Kong and get thrown onto a set? I mean, how was that? How'd you survive?
It was very strange. I got casted by Betty White. I was managed by Black Beauty Agency at that time, and that's who got me the 5-picture deal. It was quite different for me because I was a stuntman here in New York with the East Coast Stuntmen Association. So going over to Hong Kong was a dream come true for me. It truly was. At Carter Wong, I met all my heroes. It was great.
Was it overwhelming at all to be here on a set all of a sudden where everyone's speaking a different language?
The only thing overwhelming was I couldn't understand what everyone was saying at the time.
Right.
And if anyone saw the 13 Disciples, it only took 6 weeks on location to start understanding what they were saying. It was really great. I mean, it was total immersion.
Yeah.
Well, when I went, I've never done a film before. I wasn't in Hong Kong, and I thought I was going to Hans Island. I thought I was going to be over there, and I was going to have long black braids, and I'd have razor blades in them, and I'd be fighting like that from the Hong Kong movies. And I got there, and they said, no, you're going to play an English person, Cindy, and you're a cop. And my first day, we shot all night. I don't think I ever stayed up all night. And I remember they were saying, like, okay, just say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and everybody warned me about it, saying, don't say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Make sure you say, what am I saying? I was so nervous. They said, okay, just say I want to fight you. And I went, I want to bite you. And then I just cracked up laughing, and they're like, what are you laughing at? I said, bite you. I said, so we shoot with no sound. So it was a good learning experience for me.
And actually, because we're on 42nd Street, who on the panel used to come to 42nd Street to see Kung Fu movies? Okay, so can you, and actually, Michael, you probably should start. Can you just let people know, because they might not, what it was like back in the day to come here to see movies?
Debauchery. Well, it was kind of, I remember, I was kind of young hanging out 42nd Street. I was, again, too young to be around here, but yeah, there was peep shows and all kinds of stuff. Yeah, it was.
That's when I was here.
Yeah, peep shows and weird smells. It was like a rougher version of I don't know, what's in Louisiana?
Bourbon Street.
Bourbon Street. Yeah. It was rough. You gotta look at some of the old movies and see that. But yeah, I mean, I come down to the theaters here, or I go up to the art theater. I don't know if anyone's old enough, but there was an art theater in the Bronx that had triple features. They'd have kung fu movies, a blaxploitation movie, and I would, wherever those movies played, I'd go. And some of them, they didn't have nudity in it, but the projectionist would cover, like, he would cover part of the screen at certain times. It was like, you're kind of going like this. And but it's weird because they had, I don't know, it was a weird time, but that was my baptism into it.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that when I first started seeing the movies in Chinatown, I was the only white face in the theater. And when I went to 42nd Street, I was the only white face in the theater. But what was the power of Kung Fu is that at any other time, if I had met those people at any other time in any other place, there might have been a problem. But when we were in the theater with that thing going on, it was a party. It was awesome.
The theater at the end of this block, I think it's New Amsterdam.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, it's my cut in the movie. They cut it short. Here's what really happened. So we go into the movie, and the movie's starting late. We're sitting there waiting. It's middle of the day. We're either unemployed or students or whatever. And the movie, the curtains are closed, and we're sitting there waiting for it to start. So finally somebody says, yo, start the damn movie. I didn't come here to watch no damn breaks. I came to see a motherfucker get his ass beat. And that was what I said, oh, that's why I'm here too. I get it.
And Don, you talked about in the documentary going out to video stores as your sort of career was taking off and you were becoming this direct-to-video star. And were you surprised at how many, like, where were you going? Were you going to, like, Ohio and, like, North Dakota? Like,
I went all over the country, actually. And, here's the thing. I worked for a guy named Roger Corman. He started my career. I did 12 movies with him. And he's known, people out of the business don't know his name, but he's produced over 300 movies,
Yeah.
all of which were profitable. That's what he's most famous for. He's the most consistently profitable. He got James Cameron to start, to give an example. I mean, he got all the big guys.
Coppola,
And-
Jimmy, everybody.
Yes, and he had never released a movie ever before. He sold the rights to MGM. They were releasing my movies early on. And what he said was, he came to me one day and he said, Don, I'm thinking about starting my own video distribution company. He said, but I don't want to spend the money to advertise these movies. But I want you to go around for a month. And I'd start on Monday, and I'd go to sometimes 3 cities in a day, and I'd go till Friday and come back. I spent the weekends home. But I went for a month to all the video stores in this, well, distribution, and once in a while there's stores, but to sell my movies in the beginning. That's why I was very successful, because I was working. Later on, I'd bump into John Cusack doing the same thing, Charlie Sheen doing the same thing. Years later, all the stars did. They would go to a select number of Blockbuster stores, but I would go to the smallest one in the towns, I can't remember the names. And yeah, so I used to say, you know, I'll go door to door to sell my movies. And I almost, be careful what you say, because you might end up doing, I almost did that.
Yeah.
And were you surprised at how many people out there were waiting for this or knew about what you were doing?
Well, you know, it was a new part of the business, by the way. You know, luck has played a big part in any success I've had. I will say I'm not in control of everything that happens in a kickboxing ring, and I won many fights that people predicted I was supposed to lose. And but luck does play a part of somebody's success or failures, bad luck. The good luck was I moved out to LA in '85, and '87 Van Damme did Bloodsport, which I did Blood Fist. There's already these similarities. Roger Corman did a ripoff of Bloodsport. And that's kind of how Roger Corman would do things. He would come out with a movie like the movie that just hit it big, and then get a piece of that market. And that was the, you know, I was surprised because nobody else had done that. You know, there's no Asian that has starred in more Hollywood films than me. As a star. Yeah, Entertainment Weekly said this to their knowledge. And they said, and the most amazing thing, it's all the same genre. They're only martial art films. If I'm not punching and kicking, you're not going to see the dragon in the movie. So I'm not like Michael. Michael is an actor. You'll see him in acting, and he doesn't throw a punch or a kick, just acting. But yeah, I know where my little genre is, my niche, and I'm happy for it.
Actually, and Vincent, so
Yes.
so who here's seen Jackie Chan's Operation Condor, Armor of God 2? Yeah? That final fight is brutal, man. That is intense. Can you just let people know sort of how long it took you guys to shoot that, and just a little bit of what it was like? How was it as rough as it looks?
Well, I guess on screen time, it's probably maybe 2.5 minutes, that final scene, maybe 3 minutes. It actually took 39 days. That was straight. Yeah, so I didn't have one day off to shoot that actual scene. So we went 39 days straight, some 14-hour days. And the first time, from my experience, to actually be harnessed in this wire apparatus that to make us look like we're flying around this wind tunnel. So, you know, they always show at the end of Jackie Chan's films, just become very famous, where he always gets injured. Unfortunately, there are many other people who get injured. We just don't get, you know, that piece of the pie at the end of the film. In that particular scene, and of course most people know it by now, as I'm flying through the wind tunnel, my head hits the back of one of those slats. So the stunt crew said, oh, you know, you're going to hit it pretty hard. Just tuck your head down and, you know, just remember to drop your head. So they got 3 guys to pull this cord and catapult me back. The wire snaps. So they had to get a bigger wire. Come back. Now I wasn't going fast enough. So they got 4 guys, 5 guys, 6 guys. So they really didn't know how fast I was going to hit that slat. So when they were all set up, Jackie's standing on this podium behind this Panavision, and my head, and of course it cracked the back of my skull open. And so I'm like a marionette, and as they pull me, I put my feet down on this platform that Jackie's standing, and I'm like, and I'm like this. And Jackie says, "Are you okay? You okay?" He says, "We've got to do it again in 15 minutes. Take a rest." And at that point, I just passed out. But the thing is, now going to the hospital, my head is bleeding. They basically took a piece of duct tape and put it on the back of my head. I had to do the shot again 15 minutes later.
Where's the SAG rep on that? What happened?
Yeah, and actually, we're going to take questions too. So does anyone have a question? We're just going to throw them in here as we go. Anyone? Well, the first one's always the hardest. No? All right, cool. All right. Oh, yeah, all right. Here.
All right, so I'm going to ask a question to whoever would like to answer. When you play these movies and you do the stunt, is it any time that you really thought it's too difficult to do it and you had a stunt double?
Anybody want to?
Yeah.
Because I've got so many that I didn't want to do. I don't want to bore everybody.
I mean, in Hong Kong, and I'm Bobby, Cynthia. The interesting thing about the using stuntmen, sometimes they would use a stuntman who's being paid to be there for that day to do the most kind of, wouldn't seem like an easy, a difficult shot. They would use him just to use him for that day, but for the most part, they would want you to do as much as possible. Yeah, and then if it became ridiculously dangerous, they would bring in a stuntman. Bobby, Cynthia, I mean, you can add to that.
Yeah, it's very brutal. I remember when I always wanted to be a Hong Kong stuntman, and we were shooting a film called Momi Bay, Don't Give a Damn. And it was a big scene. It was a number of action directors on location. They put down 100 foot of track in the street, and what it called for was me to run out of a burning building, run across a huge yard, leap over a 15-foot fence, hit an embankment, and leap into the back of a moving vehicle on the highway while other traffic was going on. The Chinese guys, you know, sometimes they look at Americans like we can't do stunts and all. So I kind of inked the deal. I said, listen, if I can do this in one take, you know, can I become a Hong Kong stuntman? The money started coming out their pockets. They were betting that I couldn't do it. Camera started rolling. I did it, and they were all standing there, and you could hear crickets. But I became the first black Hong Kong stuntman.
Yeah, I think after every film I've done, I thought, oh, this is going to be my last because they're going to kill me on the next one. And then I'd heal up and then I'd go, when's the next one? When's the next one? It was like crazy. I went from like getting hit in the face with a sword, getting hit in the nose with a chain, and Yun Kuei come up to me, my nose was all swollen, tears were coming out of my eyes. He goes, oh, your nose looks much better now. And I like from jumping off buildings, like with an explosion behind me, and I jumped, I hit my nose with my knee, and I went to the doctor, and the doctor says, oh, your internal organs are all jumbled. And I went, what? What does that mean? My internal organs are all jumbled, you know? And it's like, oh, take these like 150 pills, you know? And like to being in baskets that you're 2 stories up and there's no bottom to it. You got to kind of balance yourself on the edges, and someone's holding it with a rope, and you're like, don't fall asleep down there. You know, it was crazy. But I think their mentality is, you know, we want the actors to do it. And then I came to America and I was shooting China O'Brien, and they said, okay, ride in the truck, in the back of the truck, and they're going, no, we got to get a stunt person for that. And I was like, what? You know, after all the events, we're like riding the truck. But yeah, it was brutal. There was one scene in Yes Man that Michelle Yeoh and I, we had bruises all over us, and then we did this next scene, and every time we fought, we were like that. They had to cut the whole scene because we were just one solid black and blue bruise, you know. It's probably one of the toughest things I think that we've ever done in our life is fighting in Hong Kong.
Well, Cynthia, you know, you and I have a very famous scene.
Yes.
If I can just say it. Most Hong Kong people, or the Hong Kong film Blonde Fury. So we're fighting between these 2 trailers. And of course, Cynthia has to hit me with a famous scorpion kick, and then a scoop kick to my groin. So she has me in this headlock, and we kind of test it. And I said, nah, I got to put on a supporter. Definitely. So a protector. Sorry, yeah. I put the protector on, and she goes to this scoop kick here, and I said, now that's a bit sensitive. I'm gonna need some more padding. So they didn't have anything. They said, how about a toilet roll? So they start unwrapping the toilet roll. And I'm like, well, I don't know how much I'm gonna need. So I'm stuffing it down my pants, right? And now it's out here. But we got the shot.
So I just got told that unfortunately we are out of time. They're going to turn the theater over to the next screening. I'm sorry, you guys. But get your pictures. I think we're getting some pictures. So if you want them, run up because I think the festival has taken some before we leave.